Can people see that?
Mary
Yes.
Oliver.
You can see Mary Oliver?
Yep.
Okay, good. So basically what I'm going to do is there are 4 people who I've written about that I posted about to this class list, and Mary Oliver is one of them. I'm not going to just repeat stuff I've done, but I will at least introduce them briefly. So we're starting out with a group of people who all have the same planetary figure, as I call it, and that is they have Sun and Venus and Neptune all together in a stellium. So Mary Oliver might be one of the more familiar of these 4. And we talked about, you know, she was a nature poet, and she had a lifelong passion for solitary walks in the wild. And there she is with a shell that she no doubt found on the beach. So that's Mary. The person we actually started with this Venus Sun Neptune study is John Keats, who we could also call a nature poet. And so of these 4, I would say that Oliver and Keats are the closest. Oliver and Keats are the closest to being you know, kindred spirits, I would say. By the way, welcome, Pep. And we have just begun, so you haven't really missed anything except Mary Oliver, maybe. So we have Oliver and Keats, who seem very much not only exemplars of Sun, Venus, Neptune, but also, even without the astrology, it's not hard to see that they have a lot, you know, they have a lot in common. They would get along. They would have a lot to talk about if they had a chance to meet. And we've described this Sun, Venus, Neptune combination as, and this is Rin's book, Archetypal Universe, which the more I spend time with it, the more I like it and impressed by it. So, you know, this is what we would expect: a sweet, gentle, and lovable way of being, a warm and gracious spirit, spiritual values in relationships, romantic dreams and ideals, beautiful imagination. So next, Mary McLean, who has the same figure, and you know, she was just kind of a wild. She was called the Wild Woman of Butte. Apparently, she grew up in Butte, Montana, but she was amazingly popular celebrity 100 years ago, and she was a journalist. She wrote a sort of a confessional memoir, and so she's actually quite different from the 2 poets. I think this combination, we'll see again, there are differences that you can see, right? So here's Werner Erhard, who was the founder of EST, and I never actually witnessed any Werner Erhard in action, but Ren told me that he actually had. And oh wait, we have more people. Hello, Alexis. Hello, Danielle. I hope you haven't been waiting too long. So the question is, what is it about these people? I mean, if you just line them up and you didn't know anything about their astrology, they wouldn't necessarily go together, right? But if you contrast them with another group of people, then we might find out just what we can learn from, you know, what the planets are telling us about them. And at the same time, I'm going to show you a little something about the software that I use. I mean, this is not any kind of software tutorial, but it is it's gonna be helpful. So before I go on to that, I want to give you an idea of what this other group is like. So we started out with Sun, Venus, Neptune, and so my goal, my idea was, well, I want to find out who was born under the most different kind of planetary configuration that I could think of. The sharpest contrast to Sun, Venus, and Neptune. And I'm gonna show you a couple of things. Okay, so here is John Keats, Sun, Venus, Neptune. This is a solar chart. We don't know what time he was born. This is a sunrise chart. So he has these planets in Scorpio. Mary Oliver has these same planets in Virgo. And Mary Oliver actually shares this chart with Werner Erhard, because they were born like 5 days apart. And this chart is done for the middle, you know, it was in between. So I need to explain a little something about how this works. So so this is a chart for these two aspect events, Sun conjunct Neptune and Venus conjunct Neptune. And so this is the Planet Dance program that's producing these wheels and so on. So here we can see that we've got Sun conjunct Neptune, Venus conjunct Neptune. We've got Venus conjunct Sun right in the middle there. So we could also turn that on, but for the moment, I'm just going to leave it like this. So we have a list of dates when these events happen. They are within a couple of days of each other. And so this is what I call a coinciding. So these are, you know, two aspects that are happening at the same time. And if I go looking for other times when these same combination has occurred, I hit the search. So this looks for everything between 1500 and 2100. And so this is something that happens on the average every 46 years. It's not very, it doesn't happen very often. If you compare it to like, you know, every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn have a conjunction. So this is something that only happens like every 46 years. So here's 1935, which is actually a very close one. And we can go back and we can look at some of the others, but I just wanted to show you, this is kind of what it looks like. And you can tell from looking at this, you can open it up to a little wider range, and you'll get more figures. You'll get more recurrences. So the idea, though, is to find the ones that are the closest. We're looking for the outliers, you might say.